There, we're live. Okay, we're going to call this to order at 6:20. If we'd have a moment of silence, please. Well, now, the review and adoption of minutes from last meeting will be done at our next regularly scheduled meeting next month. No one to communicate from the floor. So on to updates. I read this in the record. The AARP grant was denied, as was the Casey grant. We applied for $13,241 to upgrade Arms Wood from the AARP and for $4,000 from Casey to build a storage shed. The Legacy grant through the Community Foundation is actively considering our request for additional upgrades for the Wabachi Park Playground, and we've requested $48,890. We should hear soon. The Pickleball Association has donated up to $2,000, and Hands and Heart has donated $500 so we can build the storage shed. That will be helping out both the Pickleball Association and the Summer Youth Program. The Summer Youth Program has also received the following donations. Hearts and Hands, or Hands and Hearts, I think is the way it's put, is $1,000. American Legion, $500. Tri-Kappa, this is, I don't know if they're called Tri-Kappa Reserve. I think I've got it wrong, but it's kind of like Legacy. That's $100. Watson Oil, $50. Elliot Peterson, who is seeking to be an Eagle Scout, managed a project to install a welcome sign. And his Scoutmaster, Robin Kiefer, and her husband paid for the entire cost. So that was $806.47 as a gesture of support. Members of the Attica Boy Scout troop have provided volunteer labor, as has a dozen AHS seniors for Senior Day yesterday, Senior Service Day. Many other members of the community, including board members, have been providing volunteer help, with the hands down standout being Larry Hiller, who has provided a tractor, an auger, equipment, material, and many hours of labor to install signs and the plastic timbers for mulch. So we carry on, continue to do that, and are certainly looking for more volunteers. Okay, a person has stepped forward to become a new member of our board. She is aware that she would have the committee chairmanship of recruitment and be second in line with funding, and she's had experience with both. She also understands the working nature of the position. It isn't just coming to meetings. And her name will be submitted to the mayor for appointment. Now, the signs asking that only pedestrians, non-motorized bicycles, and authorized vehicles use the trails have all been installed now. Also, all educational signs and all but a few of the disc golf signs are installed. The disc golf signs were changed. They were more legible. They'd really gotten old and nasty. And there's all but one to be installed there, plus a big sign that will be kind of a welcome sign to the disc. Trash can lids and lanyards have arrived for the Wabachi Park trash cans, and so those will be installed by the city soon. The big pavilion bathrooms were repaired by our city crew. It was over $1,000 in material plus the labor. This was because of major vandalism. And it's at least the third time in recent memory that those bathrooms have been vandalized. Therefore, the cities decided to open those bathrooms only for events where there'd be a key to open and a key to close. And so, like, if you wanted to use it for whatever family gathering, also for the summer program, summer youth program. Otherwise, it's going to be locked. So that's really the main reason for us convening today, is to talk about now what. Okay. The mayor says that he has calls out about security systems, looking into that. Obviously, you can't install them inside the bathroom, but you could sure install them outside of the bathroom, and the pickleball court, which has also been vandalized, so to be able to see and prosecute. We were invited to participate in a new initiative that was won by the Attica Recreation Incorporated, wherein Purdue Extension is offering to help communities get better at collaborating and grant writing. So that'll be going on for months now. We're one of the few organizations in the state to get that. So congratulations to Attica Rec Incorporated. There will be classes to teach about grant writing and collaboration and making the most of your resources in your community. And there are two other outfits in the cohort. One's a countywide, and one, I think it was an institution. forget now, I was sitting in on that, but I forget. We will meet regularly, and I've been asked to join to represent the park board, and I said I'd be glad to. And I'll keep everybody updated. A lot of people asking about spraying for mosquitoes, and the latest, I just talked to the mayor, said that our equipment can no longer be used, and it would take tens of thousands of dollars to buy the equipment. And so it's not anticipated anyhow in the short run that there'll be any spraying. On the other hand, they are looking into whether there are private contractors who would be willing to do this and whether we could afford it. So that's still up in the air, but for the short term, there's no notion that's going to happen. The final thing is that a path has been identified that would take trail traffic from north of the Arms Woods all the way down to the river. And we will now be making application for the Blue Way funding for those signs. So to give you an idea of what that would look like, if you were to start at the north end of Arms Woods, go all the way through Arms Woods, and then go up to the Jackson Trail. So it's just, 100 feet or so of the Jackson Trail. Then you follow the Jackson Trail all the way down. And then where that exits, you go across the remainder of the park and the street and get into the beginning of Ravine Park Trail. And you follow the Ravine Trail. And when you come out there and go up a little hill, you're now crossing over the property that we just bought a little bit ago, so that wouldn't be blocked off. So over that, and then out down the alley, which the alley's nicely maintained. And then you come mid-block. So you're going to turn left and then turn right. You go past that kind of big white house that's there on the corner. And then if you go straight down, you would go to C&D Battery, right? Well, just to the left of C&D Battery is the Wabash River overlook that we've been restoring. And to the left of that is a trail, which I'd like to call the Dry Days River Trail, because it's only a good trail on dry days. And so you could get that way to the river. It lets you go all the way over to Wabachi on a good day. Otherwise, back at the town, right at Perry, you can turn left instead of going straight down to CD, turn left on Perry, and that takes you down the rejuvenated part of the city. So you get to look at, so the open markets that'll be there and stuff like that, you can go right past that. So you keep going until you get to the library, and then turn right, and that takes you straight down to Wabachi. Right past the new playground and on in, and the restrooms, and then on down where you could go by the wildlife reserve trail and down to the camping areas, to the launch, and hopefully to another float that we'd like to put in there. So what do you think about that as a layout? You okay with that?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
that all sounds good. For the overlook, so mainly we're going to be updating kind of like the masonry around there and the bridge. And I was visiting with my grandpa, and when it was a little bit before he was mayor, they had put new posts in. They got a grant from the, the Wabash Commissioner, and they put in that paved walkway. They updated the post, and then they had wooden stairs put in that go down like more closer to the river. And it was vandalized. The stairs were burnt twice. They rebuilt them twice and were burnt each time. And then the post tops, someone knocked them over into the river. So I think that does need to be updated, and it's a good spot. And I'm glad like community members want that spot open again. But I don't know if we want to push for security cameras there too. If money is going to, if we do get grants to help fix that area
I found
up.
3 of the tops that are still there.
Okay.
There's 7 posts, I think.
Okay.
So I don't know. And like you say,
Is there lighting at all down there? Like a light pole or anything?
It needs to be fixed up, but hearing that they had to build the stairs twice and they were burnt twice each time is just really discouraging.
it's very discouraging. And it's just that whole thing that people can just go out of their way to do this.
So I don't know how we can secure it to where it's not going to be since it is kind of hidden. If a lot of work is put into it, it does need to be fixed up. I want it fixed up, but just bringing that to your attention.
Yeah, and it takes a certain skill. I've gone ahead and put in the bricks, and so that now it just has to be faced with masonry. But it's no, I tried and it looked like awful. So I got rid of it, put it back to just broken. It looks better broken than with that. So it would take someone that's a skilled mason that knows how to put on that kind of finish.
Yeah.
And I have no idea.
My grandpa is pretty. He was a bricklayer.
Oh,
So I
really?
don't know if he would
Would
be
you
interested.
at least reach
I'll
out
ask
to him
him,
and see if he'd go down there and take a look at it and see if he can do it?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, as far as putting the tops on, it's almost like, you can't just put it with mortar. You're gonna have to like drill down and put some
Yeah.
way to lock it into the posts.
Yeah.
So it can't be knocked over. But gosh, even the post, people broke that up.
Yeah,
So-
it's awful.
Well, it is nice, and there is a bench that we're working on to paint it up and put it down there. It'll go down there pretty
That would be
soon.
nice to have.
And it would, and it is a pleasant place for
Mhm.
sure. Okay, well, commiserating about brutality, but yeah, so
Yeah.
I agree with you, if there would be another place to monitor.
Yeah.
All right, well, so the first proposal is to authorize the purchase of signage. Now, I sent you something as an email. Did you
Yes,
both
I
get a
did see
chance to
it.
see that? Okay, and so we're looking at a series of signs that help complete the Ravine Disc Golf Course, and a sign that would be on the back of the brand new Welcome to Ravine sign, because that's still open, where you see 2x4s and so on.
Yeah.
So this would just cover that up and say thank you for visiting. Right. Then it also it keeps more or less the same color and the same outlines and font more or less of what we put on the other signs that are marking don't go on this trail unless you're pedestrian and so on, right? So, and then it has the Parks and Recreation logo on it. So I think we could keep on doing that kind of design with signs that we create. And it seems to me then you have that consistent branding and a consistent look to the sign. And that just helps strengthen the notion that the park is a system.
Yeah.
Yeah, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. The next one, Keep Our Parks Beautiful. That was one that I saw in Florida, and it was so impressive because it was basically telling people, here's how long your trash lasts. And so that's ready to go. If I have your permission, and this will come as a motion in just a moment, that would be to present to Rotary and see if they'd be interested in sponsoring. So we'll make that as a motion. Then the next one were the parks for the Ravine Disc Golf. And what we've done with this is to change it into an 18-hole golf course instead of a 9. Now it just means you turn around and go back.
Yeah.
But it's set up so you can take a picture of what the pars are and what the distances are, so that you can kind of keep track of that as you're going back. All of the signs have a layout of the park, so you kind of see, it's not as likely to get lost, like where's that next one, and so on. And the rules will go up there too. So that's going in. The last is on the ramp that goes up to the pavilion is an old sign that went up in about 15 years ago, and it was looking in pretty bad shape. And so I thought, just in honor of the scouts who did the work there, let's go ahead and replace that. So again, you'd have to be in agreement with that, but it's all set up to do if we want to. Okay, so if we'd have a proposal here to authorize the purchase of signage as presented today and a second, we can go ahead and vote on it.
Okay.
Would anyone care to move that we do that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
All right.
I'll second
it. So that's Ellen and then Eli. And all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The next is authorizing me. I'll be doing a presentation on June 10th for the Rotary. And if I have your permission, I'll go ahead and present that Beautify sign to see if they might be interested in sponsoring some or all of it. And just for fun, we went ahead and put the Rotary icon on the bottom of it so they could see what that would look like.
Yes.
Okay, so could I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to do that.
And
That's Eli.
I'll
and-
second.
And Ellen to second. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, passes. The next is a proposal to modify the motion from our last meeting, where it specifies we would buy a 12 by 12 storage shed. What we found instead was a 16 by 10 storage shed, but that doesn't fit the motion. So we'd be amending that if you guys are okay with that. Also, to clarify that the total allowable the park board will spend is $4,000, not that the total purchase price could only be $4,000. Okay. So the total cost could exceed that so long as the excess is covered by donations. All right. So do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
That's okay, Ellen.
I'll second.
And second. Well, and by the way, does anybody have any further discussion? I've neglected to ask for that.
No, so we have a 2,000 donation
We
from the
do.
pickleballs.
The pickleball
Okay.
will pay
Mhm.
up to $2,000, and helping Hands and Heart
Mhm.
will pay $500. They were doing that as a matching donation while along came pickleball, and there's your matching donation and then
Mhm.
some, which is really good because the city can't pay in front, and the people selling this thing want up front
Mhm.
at 10%. And so that'll get covered, and Hands and Heart have already said they'll send a check directly, so we're good.
Okay.
So-
So we don't need to try to rally any more
No.
donations. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, then I motion.
And
And I'll second
yep, and Eli seconded, and all those in favor signify by saying aye,
Aye.
and opposed, same sign. All right, the last is a proposal that I haven't really written, and so I'm wondering where we go with this, but the fact is that all of the toilets are gonna be locked up unless it's for some kind of activity. So that could include Twilight, for example, or that could include the pickleball, having a recreation time, tournament. But it doesn't handle after hours or in the mornings or non-official for either of those two facilities. So we currently have, a toilet there. We have a toilet at McDonald Park. We don't have one at the Bowles Park. We don't have a handicap one anywhere. And I don't know if we should put a handicap, if we should switch those up and make them handicap rather than regular. I guess it's about $50 a month more. I also don't know if we should put one by the pavilion so that there's one up close to the pickleball people and one up close to the pavilion. On the other hand, if you look at McDonald, it's not a whole lot farther distance from the playground to the toilet there than it would be from the ravine to the toilet at pickleball.
Mhm.
So as we're thinking about resources, are we switching to handicap access? Are we going to get one down in Bowles Park because we've never had one down there?
Mhm.
And should we do this so that we have access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? The other one that would come up would be Wabachi, because they're going to, although it gets opened, it also gets trashed after hours.
Mhm.
So do we put one down there so that the campers have someone and then people that are in the park past
Mhm.
playtime, dark time, but especially people down at the camp.
Mhm.
So the other part is just background is that once upon a time, there was, city employees would open and close. So the facilities would be open just during the daytime and then close at nighttime to cut down on the vandalism. And that same city employee would check and clean as needed. But that's not allowable at this point. So the question would be, do we get involved with hiring someone, like we did to hire someone to take care of the trails? Now there is a line item that's available for servicing, And I just want you to be thinking about that because we could talk about that again June as far as should we be trying to hire somebody to do that. But in the interim, should we be putting at least at a couple places these porta potties? So all of that. I don't know.
Why can't the city close and open them anymore?
It took the employees who did it past their 40 hours.
Mhm. Would it be allowed?
Just to lock, just to open.
Yeah, because you're opening and closing every single day, and you're cleaning as needed. And sometimes what would happen was what you were cleaning was just awful.
Yeah.
So there's no opposition to the notion of getting somebody to do this, to open and close. But even if we did open and close, you'd still then have no access at nighttime,
Yeah.
evenings.
Mhm.
So those are the kind of the stickier points. Right now, that means nobody in any of the parks can go to the restroom. That may be true with Wabachi, I'm not sure, but that is true with Ravine if we don't have a toilet there, which we do at the pickleball court,
Mhm.
which we do at McDonald's, but which we don't at Bowls and don't at Wabachi. So, and do we want to have something closer to the ravine, or is that just spreading us too thin with all of the rentals?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I'd hate to have that many rentals, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you got 4 or 5 at 150.
And the
when the
bathrooms-
bathrooms are there.
And the
It's-
bathrooms down by the river, they keep those locked unless there's an event.
There was, I don't know what's currently being done.
Mhm.
There's a sign on it that says they're open May 1st.
Is there any way we can figure that out? Like when? Like exactly? I
When
think
exactly they're
they're.
open?
Oh yeah, when they're being opened, and when they're not,
Sure.
or why they're not.
We can ask Garrett. Now, I know why the ravine isn't. 'Cause
Yeah,
they
makes
just-
total sense,
They
but-
just fixed it.
But the one down at the river, did they have a system in place for someone locking that door?
Not anymore.
Okay,
They
so
were-
those are supposed to, when are the ones down by the river supposed to open?
May 1st is when they're supposed to open, but as to what hours and whether they're just open all the
Mhm.
time. And when they're open all the time, Eric's experience has been some really nasty stuff that happens
Makes
in the
sense.
bathrooms. And then his people are in there trying to clean up
Right.
after mayhem.
Well, I would think since there is a bathroom down at the river and there is a bathroom at the river, I think I would push more for hiring someone that be the job than getting,
Cameras just seem like a total necessity at this point.
yeah.
Even so, you still have the damage.
Yeah, it's still gonna happen.
That's the thing. And it seems like, generally speaking, when it's light, and then you have, at least it seems to be the experience of the employees. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to speak
Mhm.
like I know.
Yeah.
But as long as it was light, the vandalism was, not a big deal. But as soon as you have things open at nighttime,
Mhm.
then you got a whole different story.
Could we try a system in place where they're only open like for work hours, like 8 to 5, and then they're locked up at 5?
Yeah, I mean, that's more or less how it used to be, when they had somebody that was running both, opening, closing, and cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, as a board, we'd have to think, do we want to chase down someone who does that? I don't want to have them an employee of the board, but like we did with, like you set up with the cutting, the trails to keep them clean. If we had a company that does cleaning and they're willing to do this, where they would open and close and clean, this guy would probably be an extra duty for someone to be opening and closing. But they may be willing to do that for a price. And then that might be what we do. But again, that still leaves you with, say, all these campers down there with no place to go to the bathroom as
At
soon as
night.
it turns dark.
Mhm.
So I think even if we did that, so that we would protect the bathrooms better, which I'm in favor, I think we'd still have to provide at least one porta potty.
I can see that.
Mhm.
As far as the bowls park, I feel like having a porta potty there would be. It's kind of a tight space anyway. It just seems like it would be an
Well,
eyesore.
it is small and it is a porta potty.
Yeah.
And I suppose, I mean, I've never had anybody call me, nor am aware of anybody calling and saying, hey, how come we don't have a porta potty?
Yeah. Mhm.
On the flip, and it could be because it's neighborhood and it's close, you know, nobody's very far from being able to go to the bathroom.
Mhm.
So that could be it, and anybody watching this might say, no, I know better, but that would be good, that they would let us know, no, I know better. The same thing's gonna be true for Center Park.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not anticipating putting a porta potty in there, it's right in the middle of everybody's home, so.
Mhm.
I think putting one at the river right now would be great. I don't know about the other one though.
So you could see a porta potty at the river.
Yeah.
And we've already got a porta potty at the ravine, just not right at the ravine.
Yeah, I mean, is that too much of an inconvenience to walk like over there? If you're at Ravine Park?
Mhm.
So you know, my own sense here is that that's not unreasonable to ask people to walk that
Yeah.
distance. I mean, it's not great, but it's not unreasonable given a budget.
Yeah.
Mhm. Now, do we want to switch that porta potty out with a handicap though?
I'm thinking that we should do that.
Yeah.
That
So we
makes
could,
sense.
and
Yeah.
that just will keep that one there, but make it handicap, and then put down one down by the river.
And now comes the question, do we make all porta potties handicap access? Because at this point, you know, it feels discriminatory to me to say,
Yes.
well, on this part, it's
Yeah.
not, you
Yeah.
don't get a
How much extra would that be?
You said 50?
Someone said 50 a month.
Mhm.
And so that 150 a month total.
Yeah.
So now you'd be ramping, that would be, right now we're paying, what, 200 a month? So we would be paying 450 a month.
And we have them all year round, even in the winter.
No.
So this would just be for spring and
This would just be
summer.
Summer.
Okay, that's not too bad. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer, fall, spring,
Okay.
when it's most used. So we'd be, I don't know, it kind of gets pulled around August or September probably. It gets pulled September and then it gets placed back out. I think it was in April.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I would do handicap for both places, if it's in our budget too.
Yeah, we have services, a service line that should allow us to do that.
Mhm.
And then I think we'll look at that again when we're creating the budget for next year to see, you know, maybe what we do for now is we don't hire anybody. We just have the 3 porta potties.
Okay.
And it opens just only for special events.
Mhm.
That would include down at the park,
Mhm.
at the Wabachi Park. So we're protecting that one too.
I think that makes sense for at least the short term.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So let's see how we write that. Install 3 handicap porta potties. One at pool, one at Wabachi restrooms. So we split between the campers
Mhm.
and one. Oh yeah, McDonald Park. And then we'd have them remove the one that's at the pickleball court now.
Okay.
Removing the one at pickleball now. Also, I'm going to advise that all should be nailed down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For whatever because people are pushing them over. Okay, so the motion is install 3 handicap parking potties or porta potties, 1 at the pool, 1 at the Wabachi restroom, and 1 at McDonald Park, removing the 1 at the pickleball at the pool that's there now, and advise the company that all should be nailed down because of vandals. So I have a motion for that.
Emotion.
I'll second.
Okay, so that's Ellen. And then Eli. Nancy was the one that contacted that company.
Mhm.
I believe so.
Mhm.
Okay, and then it's a work in progress about security cameras that's still being looked at.
Mhm.
And then it's also something for us to think about. And you might talk around or ask around how people feel about this as a solution, but I think it's at least a solution that we can afford and that people could be able to have some place to go to the restroom.
Mhm.
I know some people are really antsy about porta potties, but
Yeah.
okay, so if that's it, is there anything else anybody else here wants to offer as new business?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Okay,
Mhm.
there being no new business, thank you. We had a quorum of 3 out of 5,
Mhm.
and we're finishing here at 6:50. All right, everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me turn you off. Anybody familiar with how
I
to
think
turn
it's-
that off? Let's see, end stream, it says. So end-
Right in the right-hand corner,
Right there,
end stream right there.
there,
Mhm.
thanks. Okay, and then it says your stream will stop immediately, and then